Hello and welcome to Jeremy's Yorkshire Allotment Adventures on what is rapidly becoming a very changeable day here. We've had a morning without any rain, fingers crossed, so far, but the wind's getting up now and you can feel the atmosphere changing. It's slightly started to become cooler, but it's been quite nice. We've had some sunshine this morning. However, there has followed a couple of days where we've had intermittent rain and unfortunately some frosts. Last night here on the allotment, I've looked at my temperature gauge, it was minus numbers, so minus 0.5, I know just below, but it means frosts are around. So what can you do to protect your plants from frost? Unfortunately, I've had a little frost damage because some of my coverings blew off and they weren't protected, but we'll talk about it in a minute. Welcome on board, sit back, relax, enjoy today's show and another little tip for out for naught in the hope we can protect our plants against slugs. Yes, slugs again. It's that time of year with all this damp weather around. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's show. We've got a fantastic question from one of my viewers and well, we'll come to that in a moment. So sit back, relax, put your feet up, get yourself a cuppa and well, welcome to Jeremy's Yorkshire Allotment Adventures. I'm sitting here, one of my favourite places on the allotment. I can see everything I'm growing and it's really nice. And obviously see the big trees and see the birds and all those things. It's fantastic. And actually it's quite sheltered now. I've got my new fencing behind. So it's quite a really good place to sit and ponder at times. And of course, when the sun shines out, it's bang behind the camera there. So I get it here in this corner. Rather lovely, actually. Now, frost. What do we do about the frosts? Well, they've come in the last few days here in Yorkshire and well, it's not a good thing. What does frost do and why does it damage the plants and how does it damage the plants? Well, it's a little bit like, I suppose, when you have your hosepipe out in winter and you've not emptied it with the water and imagine those stems and stalks of your plants and of course the cold weather and the frost comes along and freezes the water inside the tender plants and the tender shoots that are growing. And of course, once it freezes, the water expands and often that damages then the stems and the stalks and they can split, but also it damages the leaves and they become, well, they become brown and they become withered. Now, what can you do if you've got damaged plants? Well, you can save them, you can rescue them. First of all, obviously, after you've done what you're going to do to the plants, cover them if they're outside. Get them covered. I had mine covered. Now, my potatoes were affected. I had covering on, but unfortunately, I didn't realise it had blown off. And so I hadn't fastened it down properly enough and it had gone. So some, not all, thank heavens, some leaves were burnt. And here's a photograph to show. And can you see how withered they are? How brown and very dark they've gone. Now, I'm not panicking too much because that's the first flurry coming through. We have covered one set of leaves already. And so I know that underground the plant is safe. You can cut off the affected leaves if there's not too many. Or, as I've done actually, I've cut some of them off and then I've recovered everything. So I've put brand new soil on top. And they are now, I know, protected from frost. I will put covering back over them and it will be fastened down better than it was last time. And that's how frost affects your plants. And it can affect any plant at all, especially tender stuff. So keep your greenhouse windows closed because the drop in temperature can even affect plants that are inside, believe it or not, your greenhouses. If you've got windows open, it will creep in and change the whole atmosphere. And well, so fingers crossed, I've got my potatoes covered up now. It's not affecting any other things because I've covered most things. In fact, fair enough, my garlic absolutely loves a little bit of frost. It will make the garlic sweeter, add more flavour to the garlic, a bit like a cold snap. They love a good cold snap, does the garlic. I said to instill it with flavour. Fantastic. So I'm now prepared for more frost to come. Unfortunately, this evening here in Yorkshire, we're going to get a downpour yet again. And well, it's fair enough. You'd think that the soil wouldn't want it. And I've just come here to dig over again. And the surface is very, very dry because we did have some sunshine. But when you dig down and move the soil I've done to cover my potatoes up, it's actually still very waterlogged underneath. Now, let's go to a viewer's question, shall we? And I think it's a fabulous question because you must have been intuitive. Sheila from West Yorkshire, hello, a new subscriber, brilliant question. You, like myself this year, have decided to start your seedlings off in the coir compost. And well, I've been having a dilemma because over the last few weeks, in fact more than 3 weeks, I'd say 2 or 3 weeks, they don't seem to have been developing at all. And I've got some here, and these are tomato plants, and they should be, oh, I think 3 or 4 times bigger than that. And they've sort of come out. They're still surviving, they're still here, but they're not developing. And it's happened to most of the plants that I've got in the coir. And Sheila asked, what should she do? Because her plants seem to have come to a grinding halt, a little bit like mine. And funny enough, Sheila, I was contemplating, and I'm going to be doing this over the next week now, taking all of these seedlings out of the coir and put them into potting compost and compost now so that they can develop further. Because obviously it got them going, it's been fantastic, but there weren't enough nutrients in here. And they're too young at the moment to be able to add feed to this. It will just kill them. It will be too much. Even if you water it right down, it's too much. So these have to be redone. So yes, coir, very good for starters. But once they're out of the ground like this, and this sort of, and in fact it's got some bigger ones now that need doing, they need to be out and into proper compost. You can get coir compost rather than cuttings and seedlings compost, which I presume will have more nutrients added. So I'm going to have a go and get some proper compost and get these going because we need them. I do have some that I've done without intentionally put them into compost, and they're doing really well actually. So that's fine. But some of the others need now more nutrients. As I said, they're a little young to be adding nutrients to them. So, Sheila, brilliant question. Thank you. Yes, I've already said to you, I'm transplanting from this coir into compost, especially for seedlings, because you don't want to overburden them with too much nutrients. Otherwise, well, it might be too much for them and they don't like it. Now, while I'm sat here in the lovely corner, as I said, I've covered all of my potatoes now. And funny enough, I was over near the big big greenhouse, and I was just tidying up because what I've done is I've got my cabbages are doing really well, red cabbages, and I thought, well, where can I put them that's protected? Well, I'm going to put them in my protected greenhouse that I had the tomatoes in last year. Now, I know tomatoes have the tomato blight, but I've dug over the soil and now we've prepared the area. So I'm going to leave that for a couple more days and I'll put the cabbages into that soil in the hope, of course, that there weren't too many spores in the ground, because it can affect cabbages, but I'm going to risk it because I want my cabbages protected, so I can do that from cabbage white and all of those nasty things that want to eat my cabbages rather than me eat them. And I can put some sprouts in there as well because they'll be protected. Isn't that fantastic? Now, over to me over there. I'm sat banging in the middle of my strawberries, and well, funny enough, they've not been affected at all by the frosts. We've got some lovely strawberries coming. They're going to be covered today, actually, because I've had a little friend on the allotment. As I said, I was covering my potatoes up, and I came out of the big greenhouse, and well, here you are. Here's actually a little video of my friendly robin, and amazing. And funny enough, it bounced and then it disappeared, obviously, looking for worms by the looks of things, or something to build nests with. Funny that I've just dug over. Anyway, I'm setting up for filming this, or the section on the bench over there, and well, look who turned up to join in the fun. Must like being on the camera. Cheeky, aren't they? But how wonderful to have them here. I love seeing a good robin. I really, really do. My mum hated robins. She always thought they were a harbinger of doom. She never bought Christmas cards with robins on. I could never get to the bottom of it with her. But she said, yes, they're really, maybe they're just vicious creatures. I don't know. We'll have to look into it. But yeah, my mum didn't like robins at all. If people sent her Christmas cards, she wouldn't have them in the house. She'd put them back in the envelope and stick them in a drawer somewhere. So out of sight, out of mind and all that. Anyway, let's go to our feature out for now, shall we? And you know, I love good use plastic bottles. We've had the plastic bottles sunk into the ground next to your tomato plants. We've got the plastic bottles behind me here that rattle when it winds to keep the birds away from. But now, well, as I talk about slug defense, And this is another way of doing it. Again, see, this one's been used quite a lot often, and they are reusable, which is lovely. So what you do is you cut some holes out about halfway up here, and then you sink this into the soil right up to the level of where the holes are. And then you fill this with either beer, or you can make your own traps. Now, slugs are attracted to beer because of the yeast in the beer. So actually, all you need to do is buy yourself a packet of yeast, mix it with water and a little bit of sugar, and because that gets the fermentation process going and gets the yeast happening. You can actually start it off with warm water. Obviously, it will cool eventually. But get your yeast mixture and pop it in. The other thing I found about the yeast mixture is it lasts, but it doesn't look very good in the end. And I'm not sure how effective it is with the slugs. It does initially start them in, but then after a while, I think the slugs taper off. Because what they do is they want the mixture, so they climb in. Unfortunately, it's not a humane way of getting rid of them, but they don't suffer. They get drunk very happily on both the homemade version, as I say, just with yeast, a bit of sugar, warm water to start with, mix it all up and get it fermenting, and then pour it in this. Now the beauty of using these is obviously that if it does rain, actually, this doesn't get too much water inside. So that's brilliant. And it's right up there. Slugs love it. Marvellous. Out for now tip, how to make your own slug traps. Oh, by the way, the beer can be as cheap as you like. Don't put expensive stuff in. It's the yeast they're after. Well, before I go today, and once again, thank you for watching Jeremy's Yorkshire Allotment Adventures. Thanks for all your comments and great to see all the new subscribers on board. These are my leeks here. They were left in, and they're coming along. They won't be the biggest, thickest leeks in the world, but well, they will add flavour to whatever I decide to cook them with, which is marvellous, absolutely marvellous. Well, as I said, before I go, let's just pop across quickly to Wakefield in West Yorkshire. And once again, Darren's contribution. And as I said, the frosts are here. And this is Darren's covering inside his greenhouse. And I know it lifts down the front down, so it covers all of the plants to try and protect them inside from frost. Because, as I said, we don't want any more frost damage. So protect your plants, cover them up. And, well, we're bracing ourselves for more rain. But once again, as I say, thanks for watching Jeremy's Yorkshire Allotment Adventures. Don't forget, you can send messages and photographs to jezgrows@outlook.com, jezgrows@outlook.com. And you can leave messages underneath and on the videos as well. It'll get great to have you all on board. And I'll see you here next time on Jeremy's Yorkshire Allotment Adventures. Ta-ra for now.